I remember the exact moment everything started to fall apart. It was a regular evening at home. My wife, Sarah, was sitting across the living room, glued to her phone as usual. She'd become more distant lately, lost in her little bubble. I figured it was just the routine of life weighing us down. Between work, raising 2 kids, and trying to keep everything running smoothly, maybe we were just drifting. I didn't think much of it, even though I could feel the gap widening. One night, I came home early from work, feeling off for no apparent reason. When I walked in, Sarah was on the couch, a look of surprise washing over her face. She quickly turned her phone screen down, which was odd. But I let it slide. Maybe she was planning something for our anniversary or just chatting with a friend. I brushed off the small, nagging feeling at the back of my mind. Weeks passed, and things got stranger. Sarah became more secretive, her phone never leaving her side. Late-night messages. Sudden errands. She wasn't the woman I used to know, the one I married. It all seemed innocent enough until she started getting sick in the mornings. At first, we both assumed it was stress. Life had been chaotic after all. But when it didn't stop, she went to the doctor. When Sarah came back, her face was pale. She pulled me aside and said the words that would change everything. "I'm pregnant." I should have been happy, excited even. But I wasn't. We hadn't been intimate in weeks, maybe even longer. My heart dropped and my mind started spinning. I forced a smile, trying to piece together how this could have happened. Later that night, I couldn't shake the feeling. Something wasn't right. I didn't want to go down that road, but the pieces weren't adding up. I asked Sarah if we could talk, and she hesitated, her eyes avoiding mine. "Is it mine?" I finally asked, my voice shaking. Her silence told me everything I needed to know. Tears welled up in her eyes as she tried to explain, but her words were distant, hollow. She'd met someone on social media, some guy she'd reconnected with from her past. It started off as innocent flirting, she said. Just someone to talk to, someone who made her feel alive again. I could barely process what she was saying. Every word was like a punch to the gut. Apparently, it escalated when I wasn't around. When I was at work, busy trying to keep our family afloat, she was sneaking around with him, meeting up when she could. And now she was pregnant. I was numb, barely hearing the rest of her story. She didn't know who the father was. She swore she hadn't meant for any of this to happen, that she still loved me. But the damage was done. For days, I couldn't speak. I couldn't even look at her. I was filled with anger, betrayal, and confusion. Part of me wanted to walk away and never come back, but I also thought of our kids. How would this affect them? What was I supposed to do? Eventually, we sat down to talk, really talk. She told me how she felt neglected, how lonely she was, and how this guy made her feel like someone again. I didn't want to hear it, but I knew I had to. We decided to do a paternity test. I don't know what I was hoping for, but part of me clung to the faint hope that the baby was mine, that somehow this nightmare could have a sliver of light in it. Weeks passed, and the results came in. It wasn't mine. Everything crashed in that moment. The reality of the situation hit like a ton of bricks. I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't stay in a marriage that was built on lies and betrayal. I told Sarah we were done. I couldn't forgive her, not for this. She begged me to reconsider, said she made a mistake and that she'd do anything to fix it. But it was too late. We separated, and I started filing for divorce. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make, but I knew it was the only option. As for her, she ended up moving in with her sneaky link, the guy she thought had all the answers. But from what I've heard, things haven't worked out so well between them. It turns out, What they had was just as hollow as the lies she told me. I still see her from time to time when we exchange the kids. We're civil for their sake. But things will never be the same. I've learned to move on, though the pain of betrayal lingers. It's a lesson I'll never forget.